Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from worldwide. I'm Sterling. It's great to have you back on the channel. This show is being recorded on Saturday, the 23rd of August, 2025, and then released to all platforms on Sunday, August 24th, 2025. As always, these shows are provided for entertainment purposes only. All the information I share with you comes real time through my guides, angels, extended spiritual counsel, ETs, famous people from history. So for entertainment purposes only. Also, if you just remember to like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, all those things really help. On our way to 100,000 subscribers, very thankful and grateful for that. Getting the channel certified at 100,000 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed, just take out a moment to do that. It's free to do. If you're new to the channel, we actually take questions from our YouTube channel under the Post tab, and my office puts out a request for questions on Mondays, and then all the questions are garnered for these shows in that area under that Post request for questions. Just a quick reminder, if you place questions anywhere else, like in a hot off the press announcement or a comment to a show, those questions are never seen and never part of these shows. So just a quick reminder to make sure if you want a question answered on these shows, place it under the request for questions on the post section of our YouTube channel, okay? All the best. So last but not least, if you'd like to join our Platinum membership and participate in live streams I do on Fridays, answer a plethora of personal questions for viewers, you can join our Platinum membership. There's a join button on the front page of the YouTube channel, Sterling Psychic Medium, as well as the website, sterlingpsychicmedium.com. We had, I think, over 800 questions this week. My wife goes through them, comes up with a representative sample of questions. I answer them for you real time here. Today, we have 76 questions to go through. So, without any further delay, let's get going on today's show. Question 76 in the countdown. Hello, Sterling. I see more evidence related to how the 2024 election was tampered with electronically. However, with a 45 aligned DOJ, FBI, House, and Senate, how does any of this change out in the long run? So I've gotten all along there's going to be an avalanche of information coming domestically and internationally, an avalanche of information that'll make it very hard for anybody to subvert any of the truthful information coming out. And really, by and large, people in government, domestically and even internationally, will take action. So that's how it's all going to roll out here. 75. Sterling, the court has just thrown out the $500 million judgment against 45, and now the DOJ is coming after Letitia James. It appears the entire legal system buckled under 45, and those who opposed him, will there ever be any financial repercussions against 45 in this case, and how will Letitia James fare in the DOJ case against her? So I get Letitia James is going to be vindicated in the long run here. It's not going to, it's going to be a process, but she'll be vindicated in the long run. In terms of the $500 million judgment, I always saw this goes back, I think, even 2 years ago, like well, October of 2023. I never saw any of 45's assets being seized. I know an individual saw that, never saw that. So there'll be some financial penalty put against 45. Not going to be the 500 million. I don't see a lot of assets seized, but more to the point here, I don't see that Letitia James will be vindicated in the end here. 74. I read today that EM has reconciled with 45. Do you still see EM coming forward with information regarding the 2024 electronic election interference in the future? Yes, I see that EM is going to fold under pressure from federal government and other agencies that will actually put his businesses in jeopardy. And I do see that at that point, he'll fold and actually articulate a lot of the information he knows about the 2024 election process. 73 in the countdown. Hello, Sterling and team. EM, Peter Thiel, and Rupert Murdoch are currently trying to force 45 to resign and replace him with the current VP, JD Vance. Will they succeed? No, I do not see this taking place. I see the efforts behind the scenes, but I don't see that this comes to fruition. Doesn't appear that's the case. 72. Norway shares an approximately 123-mile long border with Russia, and there are fears of problems coming to pass with Russia. Do you see conflicts in the future? I do see an incursion within about 5 years from Russia into Norway. But Norway is like a founding member of NATO. And it looks like a lot of other countries come to aid. And so it doesn't go very far. But I do see some sort of an incursion. But it looks to me right now, it looks like it's about 5 years out. 71. Will Kamala Harris make it through her upcoming book tour uninterrupted, or will she be needed or required in Washington, D.C. during this time frame? No, I don't see any big disruptions in her overall book tour, if that's a real question, Sue. I don't see any real problems her completing her book tour. I think there'll be some meetings in Washington, D.C., but that's not going to disrupt the book tour. Okay, 70 in the countdown. Recently, the DOJ sent letters to several states stating if they continue to maintain sanctuary state policies and status, they will be denied federal funding. What do you see taking place in this regard? I do see federal funding being held up in many areas for about a 12-month period for a lot of these states. So it could be 12 months, a little bit less, but I do see some disruption in the federal funding in a number of areas. 69. Can certain frequencies of sound heal or balance a person's energy? 100% true. All frequencies affect the body. Just look at the complex frequencies and polyphonic frequencies of music and how they create not just memories, but can give people cold chills and stimulate. Every entity, every cell in your body is affected by frequency. So yes, there are some harmonic frequencies, there are some healing frequencies. So yes, frequencies can play a very large role in rebalancing oneself and helping to aid healing. It's all very true. 68. Hello, Sterling and team. What does your team think about the future of nurses in healthcare, considering all of the new artificial intelligence technology and advanced technologies coming into fruition in the future? Nurses will always be a very important part of the healthcare process. They'll be utilizing AI technology to aid healing, patient care, and they'll never be able to replace human touch with artificial intelligence. So I do see for many, many decades to come, decades and decades, nurses will play a very important role in healthcare. 67, will there be an actual cure for sleep apnea in the near future so that patients will no longer require CPAPs? I get research is being done right now using CRISPR genetic engineering technology with animals to isolate the right genes that cause airflow obstruction or intermittent airflow. And it looks like to me by about the year 2035, there'll be some new medications out that will help with this. They'll be genetically engineered. Long about 2035 here. 66. Whatever happened to socialite Dorothy Harriet Camille Arnold? Her father was Francis R. Arnold, affluent fine goods importer. Her mother was Mary Martha Samuels. Dorothy was born July 1st, 1885. She went missing in New York City on December 12th, 1910. It's in New York, right? You just said she was born, went missing in New York, yeah. Because I get a relationship to Central Park. I get an abduction and unfortunately a murder in Central Park, and then a body being disposed of in a body of water. Um, Looks like the perpetrators are not going to be found, but it does look like a kidnapping, and it looks like everything went wrong. What I'm also getting here is that maybe this was supposed to be a kidnapping for a ransom, and it all went like horribly wrong. Now there are no accidents in the universe, but this is what my team is telling me. So it was like it was supposed to be a ransom situation, went horribly wrong. She got murdered, and then body deposited in a body of water. Is what they're showing me. I'm sending out a lot of love and light and healing energy to all the family members involved in this. Okay, 65. Scientists have been trying for 60 years to figure out why our planet pulses every 26 seconds. Theories range from ocean waves hitting the continental shelf to volcanic activity in the area where the pulse is generating from. What is causing this? This is completely a resonant frequency for the Earth that is created by ocean water activity due to gravitational forces by the moon. So this is a natural harmonic for the Earth, and it's facilitated by the water movement, water table movements, and that's also supported by gravitational effects by the moon on the Earth and the bodies of water here. 64. There's a great deal of discussion online about extraterrestrials coming to Earth in an effort to change our genetic makeup for the better. What does your team say about the idea of adding codes to Homo sapiens sapiens, the current version of humanity? So this has all started millions of years ago when extraterrestrial groups started visiting the Earth and started actually planting deposited humanity on the Earth. It's already been done for millions of years. This is nothing new. What is new is like genetic engineering technology coming to humanity that's going to actually aid in a kind of better long-term survival rates for people in humanity. 63, the 45 administration announced this past week that the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, or ODNI, would have its staff cut by 40% for cost savings, indicating more than a $700 million savings per year. Will the U.S. suffer any national security issues as a result of this action? I don't see, I know it's a difficult situation. I don't see any major security lapses going on here. I'm getting that whatever this office was like a coordination office among like anywhere from 15 to 20 different intelligence agencies. So like this is like the coordination group, but the intelligence agencies are still going to stand. So I'm not getting any significant security lapses here. Having more people on the ground is better, but in terms of this question, I'm not seeing kind of a huge issue here. 62, with artificial intelligence taking many types of jobs away, how will we generate sufficient funding sources for Social Security from payroll? I don't know. I see like 80% of Social Security will be safeguarded through like payroll taxes, and then another 20% over the next number of years here is going to come from other like technology areas like artificial intelligence, like taxes on technology. So there's something here with a level shift with how money's put into Social Security. I do see that. But I do see, let's say, less of a reliance on payroll taxes, and the funding is going to come from some other areas. But it looks like it's going to be centered around a lot of artificial intelligence technology and like taxes on that. 61. Is there life on one of Jupiter's moons? Absolutely. Europa. Actually, many extraterrestrial groups. So there's many extraterrestrial groups that inhabit Europa, But it's not humanity, it's not Homo sapiens sapiens. But there are a number of extraterrestrial groups that do inhabit that moon. Yeah, absolutely. 60. Do timelines in the Akashic records remain the same as originally created, or do they revise themselves to reflect the changes in time frames that happen from free will? Timelines in the Akashic records, I always talk about they breathe. So the analogy my team always uses is like a slinky. The slinky's all connected, but you can expand it or contract it. So the sequence of events is still kind of maintains, but you can speed up or slow down. Remember, free will interacts with humanity and with everybody's life path around the three S's, the speed, scope, and scale of how you move through your life path plan. 59. The Department of Education has proposed changes to the Public Service Loan Forgiveness (PSLF) program that would restrict the types of nonprofit organizations that qualify as eligible employers. The new rules would exclude organizations found to be engaged in activities with a substantial illegal purpose. The proposal is a result of an executive order issued by 45 in March of 2025, and as part of a broader effort to limit student loan forgiveness. Do you think this will move forward? I do see this is going to move forward. And it's going to be, let's say, a rather difficult situation until we get out to the middle of 2026. That's just, in terms of not that the administration is not going to allow this going to be gone prior to that time, but there's always a lag effect, right? When any, implementations or new laws or regulations are put in, it takes a while to unwind them. So I see it kind of being unwound, but it's more like the middle of 2026. 58. Do you see Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, doing anything to audit the election results given the findings of the Election Truth Alliance data? I see Pennsylvania already did an audit like in late 2024, but there is another one coming in like 2025 here based on Election Truth Alliance. And yes, it does appear that it will uncover irregularities in the voting transactions that occurred. So yes, I do see another audit coming up, another audit for Pennsylvania. 57, the United States is deploying three, is it Aegis-guided missile destroyers to the waters off Venezuela as part of 45's effort to combat threats from Latin America drug cartels, according to a U.S. official briefed on the planning. Will 45 start a war with Venezuela? No, I don't see a war being started with Venezuela, but I do see efforts to actually put some of these forces around to try to limit drug cartels. So there's some truthfulness in what's going on here, but I don't see them starting a war with Venezuela. But I'm seeing a real emphasis on drug cartels here for this. Okay. 56. Hello, Sterling and team. Your team has been talking about CRISPR, genetic engineering technology, other advancements in the medical industry. Do they see healing of spinal cord injuries in paraplegic and quadriplegics or cord replacements resulting in walking? Yes, this is actually all going to be part of genetic engineering. Remember, at the core of CRISPR technology, and there are thousands of companies working on CRISPR genetic engineering technology. But what actually at the heart of it for every disease, they'll actually reprogram individual cells in the body to either regenerate, replace. So in terms of this question here, I see this is more along the lines of the year 2040 that these actually medical advancements are released. They'll be worked on for a long time. So that's more like 15 years, 1-5, or the year 2040. It looks like there'll be some good progress made in that area to regenerate spinal cords and do a lot of things. A lot of neurological advancements are going to be done with CRISPR technology as well. 55. On March 18th, 1990, 13 masterpiece paintings were stolen from the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston and are still missing. They included paintings from many masters, including Rembrandt. Will they ever be found, and will the thieves ever be caught? I don't see the thieves are going to get caught. And I'm getting that the paintings have been damaged or destroyed. So in order to kind of remove the trail, the paper trail, if you will, from the thieves here. I think at one time here, this happened in 1990. I'm getting at one time they're going to try to negotiate some sort of a deal for the return of the paintings, and people got spooked, whoever was behind stealing the paintings, and now it looks like they're gone. It does not look like they're going to catch the thieves, and it looks like the paintings are gone and now destroyed. 54. Hello, Sterling. I rescued an abandoned 8-year-old cat. She gets along with people, but she does not like other animals, even other cats. Is there any way that I can help her to accept other animals? I have had her now for 6 months. I'm not a doctor or a vet, but I'm getting that you need like an animal whisperer to help you with like behavioral challenges here. Something like the analogy to like Caesar Milan, the dog whisperer. But I'm getting you're going to get the help you need. Whoever asked this question, and this might be important for everybody out there. It looks like you need some professional help here to socialize the cat, but almost I'll call it an animal whisperer, like a Caesar Milan. 53. Hello, Sterling. You've discussed the free will slinky effect that can speed up or slow down timelines. If a psychic indicates you will move to France within 5 years, but then through my actions actually speed up that move, then would the Akashic records indicate I'm moving 2 years earlier than the original time frame? Yes, I'm here again. Free will controls the three S's, right? In any life path and anything in the Akashic records, because the Akashic records breathe, right? They expand and contract, but they're all connected. So speed, scope, and scale. So the answer is yes, you can actually. But the important point to remember here, everybody's life path is interconnected. So for example, let's say you through manifesting incredibly well, just speed up that move to, I think you said France here, right? France. That affects many other life paths around you, your family, moving companies, your bank, your job, your career. So everybody's life path is interconnected. So it's not so much that you alone are changing the Akashic records. It's like a wave. There's a swell of a movement, and that's why the Akashic records they have that breathing characteristic. 52 was the assault on Edward, is it Coristine, aka Big Ball, staged so the National Guard could be called in to police Washington, D.C. I don't see this was actually a staged event. I see that this was came out of a lot of anger and hatred for Doge, the Doge organization, and what EM was doing. But it does not look like a staged event to me. However, I do feel like people took credit or tried to put it under a different light once the event happened. But I don't get this was staged. I get this genuine anger, hate over like Doge activities. 51. Rolling Stone magazine just released an article stating that 45 and his administration are preparing an attack on Mexico. Will this happen? There's something going on here over the next number of months around the War Powers Act. Again, drug cartel activity or something here. So I see some troops being deployed. I do. It won't last very long. It'll last a few months, but there is something going on here. I don't get it's a war being declared with Mexico, but it's a war, something about a War Powers Act, they're telling me, and related to drug cartels. So there is some activity with the movement of U.S. troops into Mexico, what they're showing me. 50. When extraterrestrials die, do they go to a special ET heaven? No, heaven is actually the same for all entities in the universe. The heaven dimension exists for all entities in the universe. There are thousands of levels in heaven, but that dimension exists for all entities in the universe. By the way, ETs normally have like a 400 year, or if you look at Earth years, like 400 Earth year lifespan. 49, will Governor Newsom be successful in California with redistricting in November special election? Yes, the November election will produce approval for redistricting, and I see many other states doing the same thing that Governor Gavin Newsom is doing. 48, Caroline Levitt and U.S. delegation were described as anxious after the 45 and P meeting. What were the reasons for that reaction? I get P made some very serious demands on 45 in the U.S. regarding his demands for Ukraine, also threatened weapons activity, and actually also threatened individual threat here about releasing information around Epstein. Again, a number of things going on here where P from Russia was carrying a very large sword, if you will, and that's where a lot of the threats came from. I see a lot of threats going on in that meeting. 47. 45 plans to sign executive order banning mail-in ballots and to get rid of any controversial voting machines that he feels could be manipulated. Will this executive order be challenged? You know, it's going to be challenged. It's going to be signed if it hasn't already been signed. And they're going to start the process of trying to stop mail in ballots, but it won't be successful. It's going to be turned around by the courts. So it looks like maybe for a couple of months or something here, they might move that direction to try to stop mail in ballots and some kinds of voting machines, but then it's going to get pulled back by some court activity, some court challenges. 46, Sterling, you've said that deceased souls do not get stuck in a realm near the physical world or earth. How would you describe the souls assisted by soul retrievers, lifelines, and shamans? Please tell us what you know about this. So, souls are never stuck on earth. You actually are escorted by the same birth angels that help guide you through your life path as you cross over. So I have no concept what these other individuals indicate what they're actually doing. No souls ever get stuck. Souls can come back to revisit because they want to re-experience something here around Earth, but they're not stuck. Your birth angels are right there with you. And what's interesting is not only do I see this all the time, and I see a lot of angels, apparitions, and talk with them, but there's a number of actually cases. Very interesting. I'm thinking of like just a quick reference, like Sam Kinison when he passed away in a car crash on his way to Las Vegas. He actually started arguing with his birth angel before he left, and said, "No, no, not now. I don't want to go." And he finally, I think the last words he said was, "Okay." But your birth angels are right there. I just got a cold chill, which is a confirmation. This message needs to get out there. Your birth angels are with you. You do not remain stuck on earth. 45, you have talked about our lives being in 7 or 10-year cycles. If I'm currently in a good cycle, does that mean the next one will be challenging? No, has no relationship to that. Life cycles are like chapters in a book, and you lay out your life with all the most important life lessons. So every life cycle contains important lessons that could be birth, death, new career, loss of a career, new job, loss of a job. There's always very, very important life lessons. You might write a book, your first book in a life cycle, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's good or bad. There's always important life lessons you learn. Life cycles always start out with what's called an initial phase where people are always saying to themselves, who am I, what am I, where am I going? As you get in the middle of the life cycle, you start to get into the learning experience. As you get towards the end of the life cycle, you go through what's called the completion phase, and you actually take in kind of your soul energy. That's the life lesson you're supposed to learn in that life cycle. But they're like chapters in a book. 44. In February 2024, I was at Bob's Creek on the Oregon coast. As I was walking up to the ocean, a woman was swept off the shore by a large wave. Within 1 minute, she was well past the rocks and being tossed out to sea. A woman happened to be near us walking with a 30-foot rope, which she immediately gave to a man dressed in a black shirt, who then took the rope across the slippery rocks and threw it out to the woman. On the second throw, she caught the rope and was pulled in towards the rocks. Eventually, EMS or emergency crews came, took her away. She ended up bruised and terrified but fine. In all the commotion, we lost track of the mysterious man in black who saved this woman. Did we just happen to see a brave man with a paramedic training, or was in the right place at the right time and he wanted to remain anonymous, or was this an earth angel? This is 100% an earth angel. They are actually in human form, but they answer the call of duty very, very quickly. They're like a police force. They're like a fire department. They actually answer the call from the spiritual realm very, very quickly. They're highly connected. This is a great example of an earth angel. Okay. This woman, by the way, had much more important things to do in life, which is why she was spared. And earth angels have a lot to do with that as well. So physically, it was an earth angel there, but earth angels also work in collaboration with your birth angels on the other side, the ones that prevent you from leaving the planet if it's not your time. 43, since extraterrestrials are so much more advanced and evolved than the current version of humanity by millions of years, how do ETs die? Their biological bodies degrade just like humanity, and they're pushed out to space. And yes, they do degrade in space. Actually, there's a special chemical process that's implemented so that they do degrade out in space. And like I said, they have about 400-year lifespan, but they degrade and pass on just like human beings do. 42, many online YouTube channels and so-called prophets are claiming the rapture is coming this September 2025. Is this true? No, nothing like this is taking place. And I remember everybody in humanity right now is on an evolutionary path, a progressive evolutionary path. But the rapture indicating like the second coming of Christ. Now, some people call it Christ consciousness. It's the elevation of the veil getting thinner. But and everybody will have much more in the way of like psychic and mediumship abilities. But the rapture, like, some sort of a major event, a large flash of light, second coming of Christ, no, that's not really what's happening. But a lot of ascended masters are coming down to earth right now. 41, since prayer and positive thoughts can impact someone in a positive way, can the opposite also be true? If you have ill will towards someone, will that negatively impact the other person? All energy affects everything in the universe. So whether you send good energy, bad energy, it is like sending a FedEx Express package to somebody. The interesting thing, though, is when you send low level energy or wish ill will, that energy tends to boomerang back. It's almost like a classic boomerang that you throw out in the air and it comes back to you. Ill will for that energy actually boomerangs back to you. So be careful about how you send energy out to the universe. 40, can you please explain what a portal is? How are they created? Where the portals take place? For instance, the one at Skywalker Ranch. So a portal is simply a gateway or a door to another dimension. And someplace out in space, they're created by black holes that have tremendous amounts of gravitational pull. But they were created by the one source, the one force, as gateways. There are millions of portals around the universe. There's a very large one at Skinwalker Ranch. But they apparently they're gateways, they're doorways to other dimensions. Some people classify them as shortcuts, so you can move like from one galaxy to the other very quickly. But they're gateways, they're doorways created by the one source, the one force. By the way, they do not exist in houses. I just reminded, my team was telling me, some people ask, do I have a portal in my living room? No, they don't go in living, they're not in living rooms. 39, China has created the first gestation robot and estimates the first will go on sale next year. What might be the long-term effects or outcome of this, especially on our society? Well, this is analogous to extraterrestrials have created hybrids and a lot of things among themselves, and we call large test tubes up on ships. So this is something that's been going on for millions of years. This technology is only now just start coming to Earth. So it is part of society as we go out decades and hundreds of years, creating life forms in large test tubes is actually going to be part of society. You can think about in some ways how, some surrogate mothers are used, but, this is now an expansion of what's going on for humanity. But remember, it's been going on for millions of years here with extraterrestrial groups, especially in the case of creating hybrids. 38, what is life like for animals that experience neglect on this planet? Do they remember that they're from the angelic realm? What is the purpose of animal suffering? So all animals are here to teach humanity lessons. They're actually from the angelic realm. They're not angels, but they're here with unconditional love to teach humanity lessons. So any animal that cross connects with you on your life path, they're here to teach you a very important lesson of the heart. And yes, they understand suffering. They understand the angelic realm. They astral travel when they dream. Many animals are highly advanced in some areas compared to Homo sapiens sapiens, the current version of humanity. They also they always remember they're from the angelic realm. 37, will there be a point in the future where most children will be raised to remember their connection to source? Yes, this is characteristic of the many old souls coming down to earth right now. Old souls being defined as having many reincarnations. Typically, as you move past 100 reincarnations, you move into old soul territory. But yes, they're going to be they're all part of the veil thinning. More advanced souls coming down to earth is all part of the process of remembering the true connection to the one source, the one force. Remember, we're all like drops of water in the ocean, with the ocean like representing the one source, the one force. 36 in the countdown. Over the years, I've heard some psychics talk about America transitioning to a parliamentary system of government. Do you see this happening in the future? No. So, like a parliamentary system of government is where a much closer relationship between like the executive branch and the ruling body or legislative branch. I do see that in the U.S. going to maintain, they will maintain going forward here that like the separation of powers through the different branches. So, do not see this question is about America or the U.S. Don't see the U.S. moving towards a parliamentary system. As we get decades and decades out, every country, as a matter of fact, is going to start to align what's called the Galactic Federation. That federation is what's guiding a lot of the extraterrestrial species. It's the ruling body or group for many galaxies, the Galactic Federation. That'll be a very slow process, but I don't see the U.S. moving to a parliamentary system before eventually everybody starts aligning with what's called the Galactic Federation. And I'm just being told that Galactic Federation alignment is something more like the year 2100. 35. When you say that time is like a slinky, are you saying there is only one timeline, not multiple timelines? Correct. There's only one major timeline here on Earth. You can astral travel. If you astral travel, that's a disconnection of your soul to other dimensions. Other dimensions, they move faster than the speed of light. So effectively, there is no time. In fact, Einstein talked about this. As you move faster than the speed of light, as you approach the speed of light, time becomes slower and slower and slower. As you exceed the speed of light, time actually stops. But essentially, time becomes nonlinear. They can move backwards and forwards in time. So, if you're on Earth, in this 3D world, with the fourth dimension being linear time here, there is only one timeline that you're living on. 34, will Russia be allowed to extract minerals from Alaska? The answer is indirectly, not directly. So I don't see a direct relationship of Russia with the US or Alaska extracting minerals. I do see other third parties or companies facilitating like Russia's access to minerals from Alaska, but it's not direct. Okay. 33, my daughter is curious if spirit guides can ever reincarnate to a human existence in a next lifetime. Yes, actually, spiritual guides, working spiritual guides, have gone through sometimes thousands of reincarnations. So they actually have had a human existence, and it's very common for guides to come back. Also, guides that we work with and you work with, we all have a working spiritual guide team around us. They actually learn through you. So as you go through certain things, not that don't have great expertise, but there are certain unique things you might go through in terms of life lessons. They extract those life lessons, they take them in, they actually learn from you in some cases. 32, in which direction is Germany headed? The new chancellor on whom so many have placed their hopes to turn things around here in Germany has broken about every promise he's made until the election. And now people are more than disappointed. Will he stand his whole tenure, or will there be early elections again, which could bring the extreme right-wing party AfD to the top position? Germany is experiencing a big push, like a radical push to the right. And that's going to be in effect here through 2026, even early 2027. But it looks like the economy will start to turn around in Germany late 2026, 2027. kind of the far right wing swing will start to change. So it's going to get a little bit of a rough road, some potholes here, so to speak. Not sure I see an early election, which was part of the question here, but things start to get like above water starting late 2026 into 2027. Okay, 31, the countdown. News reports have identified a real estate development in Cumberland County, Tennessee, where individuals associated with far-right ideologies are creating a community. This community is called Long Hollow Acres, is being developed on a 460-acre tract of land purchased in September of 2022. The developers identified as Kentucky Ridge Runner and Abotoy are subdividing this land for sale and are expected to realize significant profits. A Christian nationalist extremist group is behind the purchase. What do you see happening with this situation? I see it's going to move forward with some kind of speed and diligence. Also, this group is going to be highly influential on local politics in the area. So this project is moving forward. Might be go through some challenges, but I see full speed ahead. So being forewarned is forearmed, and everybody has to kind of make sure that their ideologies are put out there, and everybody has to respect everybody's ideologies. I'm just saying that this project's going through, and it will highly influence politics. So everybody needs to get out there and vote. That's for sure. 30. Two twin brothers from Georgia. Is it Kadir Malik Lewis and Nazir Rahim Lewis were found dead on Bell Mountain in Towns County, Georgia, after being reported missing. They were scheduled to fly to Boston to visit friends on March 7th, 2025, but never arrived at the airport and were found dead at the summit of Bell Mountain. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation, GBI, ruled their deaths as a double suicide based on forensic evidence and cellular phone location data. The family believes it was actually foul play. Will this family ever get resolution? Yes. This is actually a murder. It's a murder, and this is like an opportunistic murder. So I'm not sure where the brothers were abducted from, but like it's kind of a robbery and then a murder. And principal evidence is coming forward here. It looks like a female that somehow had something to do with it or knowledge of the crime is going to come forward. So the family will eventually get justice, but looks like it's much further out into next year, into 2026. But I do not, for entertainment purposes only, I do not see this as a suicide. Looks to me like it was a murder. Unfortunately, I'm going to send a lot of love and light and healing energy to the family of these two brothers. 29. Las Vegas appears to be experiencing a huge loss of visitors, largely due to massive increases in prices, tightening of slot machines, and added fees. Do you see them bouncing back? If so, what do they do? Approximately how long do you think this will take? I don't see any significant bounce back until we get out to like late 2026. Might be a little earlier, maybe the tail end of summer 2026. But it looks like there's a lot of factors going on here. The effect of tariffs, ill will, bad will between a number of countries like Canada. A lot of things going on here that are going to keep it going for at least a year, even longer. So it won't be anything directly that Las Vegas will be able to do. There's kind of an overall social climate going on around a lot of countries. But I keep hearing like a big effect of tariffs, like ill will created by the tariff policies and genuine fear for what's going on in terms of immigration here in the U.S. So it's scaring a lot of people away, a lot of tourism away. So going to be a while. The bounce back's going to be a while here. 28. Recent reporting confirms Lev Parnas published a Substack article possibly featuring significant claims against 45. However, the exact content of the big news mentioned cannot be definitively confirmed. He didn't give details, but he did say people are working behind the scenes. Is any of this true? Is it about the 2024 election or something else? It's all true. So it's about treasonous activity, interactions with offshore groups, electronic election interference. It's all true. It looks like it's going to come out here. Even some things I might call it some bad dealings behind the scenes between Russia and Ukraine. But it's all going to come to light. So whatever's being talked about here is truthful information that will come to light. By the way, it's going to come to light rather soon. So, month, 2 months. I don't think it's even 3 months, but it's coming out very soon. 27. Hello, Sterling. Fashion and beauty standards have significantly varied throughout history across different societies. It seems that we're now living at a time where all of this feels so intense. So many people are fixated on appearance. What will fashion and beauty standards look like in the next 20 years or so? So fashion is going to become much more universal. Now, this person asked about 20 years here. It is all part of the 3 decade reset, the years 2020 to 2050. By the time we get out to the year 2050, you're going to see a lot more uniformity in fashion. If you look at a lot of extraterrestrial groups, they've really homogenized their fashion. So spacesuits, there's technology built into them, but the big focus on appearance is going to be a lot less, a lot more unification and kind of a homogeneous look to fashion. 26. Hello, Sterling. 45 has been threatening to allow copper mining near the Boundary Waters canoe area, wilderness in northern Minnesota. They would like to pollute this pristine area. There have been legal battles over this for years. Will 45's administration be successful in implementing the mining and ruining this beautiful resource area? I don't see it's going to take place long term. There might be some short term approvals, but then long term, it's not going to take place. 25. I recently discovered I'm allergic to my new puppy. Will CRISPR technology be the true cure for allergies to animals in general, or will it take even more specific medications for our animals or for us specifically? You know, the medications coming out that will be derived from genetic engineering will affect every living thing. They'll affect pets, animals, people. So the answer to this question is that there'll be like a derivative of medications depending on kind of what's going on with the allergic reaction. Maybe most of it might be aimed on the animal, or some of it may be aimed at the human or part of humanity. But there'll be kind of a whole buffet, if you will, of types of medications that will be available. Now, by the way, as a footnote, holistic healing will always be a function of humanity, right? Getting your body centered and balanced and balancing your chakras. But remember, we also do have kind of a cellular, right? There's a cell process in the body, and that can be helped and aided by in terms of some advanced medications coming up. So for this particular question regarding allergies, yes, there'll be things you can do using genetically engineered medications. And that's they give me the time frame here, roughly about 10 years out for that. So it's about the year 2035. 24, Gavin Newsom has become a national leader of the Democratic Party, as he is the only politician standing toe-to-toe with 45. Momentum is building around him because of his fearless conviction to restore the U.S. democracy. Do you see him becoming the 2028 Democratic presidential nominee? Yes, I see 100% this will be the case. 23, do your guides, angels, and loved ones that have passed on have the ability to interact in some physical way with low vibrational energies like prankster spirits to keep them in check and away from you? So all of our guides and angels protect us. They won't stop us from learning lessons. So remember, like attracts like. If you have low level energy, you'll attract low level energy, low level spirits, even like prankster spirits. So I think the question is about like the loved ones. So loved ones, your family members aren't the ones that are protecting you on their side. It's your angels and guides. But you need to keep your energy high because they'll never prevent you from learning a lesson. So if you're kind of bent on you got to learn this lesson, I want to maintain a very low level of energy, I want to stay depressed all the time, well, attract that energy. They're not going to let you die, right? Birth angels don't let you pass on if it's not your time. Doesn't mean you won't go through some difficult lessons. So anyway, it's not family members protect you, but angels and guides can help protect you. 22, I've been hearing about digital IDs plus 100% digital finance system that can track every single transaction you spend money on and know everything about your bank accounts, and ultimately influence what you purchase. Will this come to pass? If so, what will it become of our society? So this has already been implemented behind the scenes. A lot of people don't realize it, but a lot of advertising marketing agencies in the digital realm are already tracking all purchases and are influencing the things that you buy. Digital currency, worldwide digital currencies will be implemented over the next number of years, at least a decade out for the US. It won't be some of the existing digital currencies that we commonly know now, but there will be digital currencies. And yes, there'll be tracking. There'll be digital blockchain technology. They'll put it in place. That's distributor ledger technology that creates a much greater level of sophistication in securing assets, helping with personal security. But the horse is already out of the barn, so to speak. So whoever asks this question, a lot of information, a lot of buying habits, purchasing habits, what's going on with bank accounts is already being tracked. Don't want to scare anybody, but the information is kind of already out there in the digital domain. 21, will there be another pandemic in 2025 or 2026? I do see another significant strain of COVID coming. It's going to affect something like 5% of the population, something like 18 million people in the US. It'll affect other groups outside the US. But you can figure there's a small percentage of people, 5% or less, even around the world, that will be affected by the new pandemic strain. A little bit of a lag effect in getting medications around the world to help with it. So it's going to push out into 2026. So everybody needs to exercise some caution, whatever you're comfortable with. But yeah, there's a strain that's going to be have to be dealt with. 20. Will the team at Skinwalker Ranch inform the public about what they discover in relationship to the ET craft that's in the mesa? Yes, this will eventually all be part of the full disclosure process of extraterrestrials. Many things are happening around the world that will contribute to full disclosure. 19, will there ever be treatment to tighten loose skin without surgery? Yes, within 15 years, there's actually going to be, that's 1-5, so the year 2040, you'll see medications that'll be, you'll be able to ingest, take, that will help with the cellular reconstruction around loose skin. Yeah, it's all coming. In fact, what I'm getting here now, my team's telling me a lot of the advancements around, let's say, skin technology or genetic engineering around skin technology will first come about by helping burn victims, like scarring and burn victims. And then in a good way, like accidental developments will say, oh, this also works for sagging skin or excess skin. But I see it's around like regenerative around for burn victims. Okay. That's what they're telling me. 18. I understand that my parents are part of my life path plan. They've raised me with unconditional love. They cherish possessions over their children. They save their trust and nourishment for anyone but our family. They cared more about what other people thought of them than their own children. This experience has helped me gain unconditional love for others, not to judge anyone, to reach for selflessness, and has contributed to my empathetic abilities. My question is, what have my parents gained from the path we've agreed upon? So everybody takes away lessons from your life path. You may not acknowledge those lessons until you go through your life review on the other side, but everybody takes those lessons. So in fact, in what's described here with your parents, remember you feel everything that you put out to the world when you went through your life path, good and bad. So this is all part of a life lesson for them that they put on their life path, but they may not really realize it or contain the soul lesson until they go through the life review. 17, do you see 45 starting or getting the US involved in a war in order to stop the midterm elections? I see him working on a strategy of that, but I don't see the strategy playing out. They're not going to play out in reality. It looks like, remember, there's some transitions coming up long before that. So stay tuned. 16. Will you help us understand prankster spirits? If all souls go to the light upon death, how are these entities able to hang around Earth, and what motivates them to cause problems for the living? So, first off, no souls are ever trapped on Earth. And secondly, not all souls that transition to the other side are highly elevated souls, right? Thousands of levels. So the interaction has to do with the elevation of the soul, and they move on, but they can come back, and like attracts like. So this gets back kind of the same thing. That's why a lot of people, let's say, they want to hang out around haunted houses and stay immersed in maybe dramatic events that occurred in the space. You'll attract energy, you'll attract spirits, low-level spirits, even prankster spirits. But not all souls that transition to the other side are high level, and souls are not trapped here on Earth. 15, aloha from Japan, Sterling. In various cultures and folklore, mirrors are sometimes seen as gateways or portals to the spirit realm. There's also a belief that August or September is a period called Hungry Ghost Month when these gates open. Should we give credence to these beliefs? So, no truth to the assertions that portals are mirrors to the other side. What portals do, sometimes they can disrupt your logical thinking, your logical mind. It's like, it's almost like a different type of relaxation, but it's almost like a distraction. So when you distract your logical mind, you can somehow key in sometimes to the spiritual realm better. But no truth that mirrors are portals. No, that's a myth. No truth to those assertions. 14, when I was working, I had a sudden urge to call my husband who was sleeping. My urge was so strong that when he woke up and he thought I was home. So he walked through the house looking for me. My urge to call him suddenly stopped. Almost immediately, he called me telling me he'd just seen me. What happened? Your soul's intention was so wrong, so strong that it put out an imagery to your husband. It's like sending here again another like FedEx Express package. It's like a big ball of energy. So your husband felt that, he felt your presence. But that's how strong intention is and how energy can affect other energy. That's a side of humanity that a lot of people don't understand. They think that if you can't see it, hear it, feel it, touch it right here, it doesn't exist. Oh boy, is that wrong. What you can see is 99% of what's going on in the universe. You only see like the 1%, okay? 13, hello, Sterling. I've had a few intense experiences over the years when listening to the radio. I've gotten such a huge rush of emotions, as if a loved one is speaking to me directly through the lyrics at that moment. Even when it's a song I've heard many times before, can our departed loved ones communicate with us through songs, or is this just me being sentimental? All spirit forms can interact with anything electronic. They can actually influence radio stations or put you like in an environment so they know when the song's coming on. Music, vibrational frequency energy always affects people. And on the other side, our loved ones can affect sometimes what songs we hear or put a thought in our head when we hear a song that comes on. So that is part of spiritual interaction on the other side, being able to facilitate the right song. I've heard thousands of experiences of people, maybe they missed a loved one, maybe their mother passed away the week before. They're in their car driving, and for no reason at all, their mother's favorite song comes on in the car. Maybe listening to a news station, like why would that song come on? So it's all part of the way our loved ones and our guides and angels can influence the human world, the human realm that we're in. 12, if we choose our life path plan, including physical appearance, why are so many people, especially young people, opting to change their birth sex? Are they rejecting their chosen life plan? No, everything we engage in here is part of the life path plan blueprint of the lessons we decide to learn. Remember, we're going through an elevation of humanity, and part of that elevation is understanding that there is a soul to all of us. There's an energy that's infinite to all of us, and it goes beyond physical appearance, physical orientation, whatever you want to call it. But this is all part of a life path blueprint not only educate the soul that's here, but all our life paths are connected. So whatever an individual is going through affects those individuals around them, family members. Maybe because family members new insight. It helps doctors, help people. So no, it's all part of a life path blueprint, intentional to the life lessons you want to learn and create better human understanding. 11. On Jeff Marr's podcast, Sterling, you mentioned that some individuals can communicate with extraterrestrials. Could you please explain how this takes place? Can they really hear everyone anywhere all the time? So, first off, if extraterrestrials are part of your life path, you're already working with them right now. There's no doubt because you're helping them with world peace, full disclosure, free energy from a quantum physics standpoint, not an economic standpoint, but all the areas that extraterrestrials are trying to help humanity right now. Now, extraterrestrials are available to communicate with all of us, but the way they do it is through your angelic team, your guides and angels. Your guides and angels are the stewards for everything in the universe. If you want to communicate with an extraterrestrial, you can. They don't waste their time. They're very intentional, so they don't come around just for the heck of it. If there's something unique you're trying to get help with, your guides and angels can facilitate that communications with various extraterrestrial groups. You may not even know that the information is coming through from an ET group, but your guide team does. Your angels and guides do. 10. Reportedly, State Department papers that were found on an Alaska hotel printer included sensitive details relative to 45 summit with P from Russia. Were these papers left there on purpose as a distraction to what may have really been talked about in the meetings? I see these papers were accidentally left there, and I think there's something just relative to an agenda, like a meeting layout. I'm not getting there's highly sensitive information there in terms of the exact content of the discussions. It looks to me like it was accidental, and it was more like meeting schedules. So it looks accidental to me. 9. 45 stated concern about getting into heaven, and later in the evening news, reports came out 45 handing the current VP JD the reins to resolve the Ukraine-Russia conflict, along with his Secretary of State. Is this true? There's some truth to it, but I'm getting it's a distraction again. It's like throwing out, like, look over there, don't look over here. This is more about distracting people and putting elements of distraction in the news than it's really about truth of what people are feeling or thinking about. 8. Governor Mike Keogh looks like passed a law in Missouri to keep students off their cell phones, electronics during school hours and lunchtime, unless the child has a doctor's excuse. How long do you see this law being in place? It's going to continue for the next 12 months, and then I see it being renewed. So it looks like this law is going to be around this area, the schools, for quite some time, because they're saying even after the 12 months, whatever's going on here, it's going to get renewed, like year after year. It's going to be around. 7. Do the European heads of the countries supporting Ukraine come to the 45 Zelensky meeting to keep 45 from trying to intimidate, and bully Zelensky? Yes, 100% accurate. These countries were very concerned about the destabilizing effects of what's going on and threats to their country. So yes, I do see that was a part and parcel, a big reason for the meeting. 6. Is it true Russia has very limited active soldier sources remaining and consequently will eventually ask the U.S. to send U.S. troops to fight the war against Ukraine? I do believe, I don't think there's any definitive evidence yet that Russia's completely out of soldier resources. They're highly depleted, but I don't ever see the U.S. Placing forces in that area to fight. No, I don't see them being, I see eventually some forces being deployed as peacekeepers, but that's after a peace agreement is done. Don't see U.S. forces going there to fight the war, no. 5. Bill Barr testified to Congress this past week that he didn't see 45's name in the Epstein files. Was he telling the truth? This was unfortunately not a truthful statement. So, 45's name are in the files. And if in fact, that's what he said here. He didn't see his name in there. I'm not saying that that was a truthful statement, even on behalf of Barr. 4. Approximately 10 years ago, I was kayaking with my 5-year-old daughter, or my 5-year-old granddaughter, on the shoreline. She looked at something that caught her eye as we passed by the shoreline and asked me what it was. Just to calm her down, I said it was a dog, even though I did not see what she saw. Then she said, "That's some crazy dog." When I turned around to look, I noticed there was a large back end of a canine type animal with a large bushy tail, and it ran and disappeared into the woods, but it wasn't a tangible, solid figure. It was translucent. It was an imprint or ghost-like. She's 15 years old now and remembers it having yellow eyes and looking right at her. What was it? Appears to what's called a skinwalker, and it's a type of spiritual entity. They can be a little rough. Ask a lot of ancient Native American tribes that have a lot of experience with skinwalkers. They can be a little dangerous, but looks like what you saw was what they call a skinwalker. And number 3, number 2, and number 1 in the countdown. I always take notes before I start these sessions, so I'll read them back to you. Number 3, do your extraterrestrial friends have anything they want to share with us? We are keeping organized chaos under control in the world because there are many world leaders that are too fast to raise discussions and efforts to violence. And for this reason, we are systematically disabling large-scale weapons of destruction unknowingly to many world leaders. Number 2, what do you see coming up this week? Large fire in the New York City area, potentially driven by an explosion. New arrests in old cases of murder for hire involving elite New York society. Interesting. New evidence regarding the Menendez brothers that prevents parole for both brothers. New situation unfolds in Ukraine and Russia that leads to a potential structure of a peace agreement, so like a framework. New criminal charges for 45 related to fraud convictions. And additional Epstein files initially released by the DOJ and then from some other sources. Number 1, do you have anything your guys want to share? The promise we make to ourselves are the most important promises we make and are more important than any promises we make to any living individuals. Honor the promises you make to yourself in your lives, and this will make you stronger. On that note, that concludes the show being recorded today on Saturday, the 23rd of August, 2025, deployed to all platforms on Sunday, August 24th, 2025. As always, if you want to join our Platinum membership, participate in live streams I do on Fridays, get access to hundreds of videos as well. You can join our Platinum membership. Join buttons on the front page of the YouTube channel, Sterling Psychic Medium, as well as our website, sterlingpsychicmedium.com. On that note, going to conclude the show today. Going to send out a lot of goodwill and tremendous love to you and your families. Take care. I will see you all again very soon.